Okay, welcome everyone. It looks like it's 9:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Amber Letcher. I'm the 4-H Youth Development Specialist for SDSU Extension, and we're really excited to have you join us for our last session of the February Self-Care Series. So welcome again. Last week, I shared some tips with you about how to make your workspace more comfortable and inviting. If you missed that session, you should have received an email with a link to the video, but you can also find it by searching the SDSU Extension YouTube page, and I'll also post the link in the chat box here in a couple seconds. Because this is our last session, we would love to hear from you about other topics that you would like to hear in future sessions. So if you wouldn't mind, please feel free to type those ideas into the chat box and also let us know where you are viewing this video from. And with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker for this morning. Dr. Wounded Head is a Family Resource Management Field Specialist for SDSU Extension, and her work focuses on working with consumers to improve their financial security. As an accredited financial counselor, Lorna uses her expertise to provide groups and individuals financial education to increase knowledge and to plan and implement financial skills. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to type those into the chat box as well. And with that, Lorna, I will turn the session over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Amber. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about saving. As Amber mentioned, I work for SDSU Extension, and I am just really happy to be able to be a part of this program that you guys have going on. And it's definitely a great program, and I like how short it is, and you get some good information on a Friday morning as we get ready for the weekend. So today's topic is save is not a four-letter word. Many times we think of saving as maybe the last thing we do for our financial management. We think about the income we're receiving, the expenses that we have to pay, and saving sometimes gets pushed to the backside, or we often feel like there's just no way we can save. So not saying that we think of saving as a bad word, but I just wanted to put it out there as a way for us to be able to think about, we want to incorporate saving as a part of our financial habits. So SDSU Extension, just want to let all of you know that we are an equal opportunity provider and employer in accordance with the non-discrimination policies of South Dakota State University. All right, so to get started, this week is actually America Saves Week. And I was happy to be able to present today at the end of the week. And I'm just, even though it's the end of America Saves Week, you can still participate. It's one of those campaigns that happens all year long, but really a big push during this last week in February. So America Saves Week is a widely recognized national campaign where thousands of organizations join together to collectively encourage communities to focus on their individual financial wellness. Over the course of the week, we cover money-related topics from relatable, down-to-earth, positive perspectives, and savers end the week with tools, resources, and clarity on their financial situation. Hopefully, they've set a new savings goal and then a realistic plan to save them. I have an article posted on our extension website, and Amber just posted the link to that article in the chat box. It gives you an overview of America Saves Week, some of the things that I'm going to talk about during our session today. But it also, one of the key things with America Saves Week is taking the America Saves Pledge, which really is setting a savings goal. And what's great about the Consumer Federation, which is the organization that sponsors America Saves Week, is that they work to encourage you and kind of nudge you to continue working on that goal throughout the year. So I encourage you to go to that article, that website, hopefully not during our session, but maybe a little bit later, and take the pledge. And it's really simple. I take the pledge every year, and I commit to increasing my emergency savings. And then you can choose to either have text message prompts or email prompts, and just as reminders. There's also quite a bit of information and resources available on their website. So I'm going to talk about America Saves, but before we get to that, I'd like to start out with a breathing exercise. And the reason I incorporate the breathing exercise is because a lot of times talking about money, just the thought of it creates stress and anxiety for people, especially if we maybe don't feel like we know what we need to know about managing our finances, or we feel like we might have a problem or be doing something wrong. So sometimes it just, I'm really glad you all joined today. But as we get started, just to kind of get us in the right frame of mind, we're going to do a little breathing exercise. And this exercise is called 4-7-8 breathing. And what you do is close your mouth and inhale quietly through your nose on a mental count of 4. And then you hold your breath for a count of 7. And then you exhale completely through your mouth, kind of making a whooshing sound for a count of 8. And we're going to go through that 2 times. So if you'd be willing to participate with me. So we'll start out with inhaling for a count of 4. And then hold your breath for a count of 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then breathe out for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we'll do that again. Hold for 7. And breathe out for 8. And breathing exercises help you to help your cortisol levels to kind of recalculate and rebalance a little bit, and maybe helps to reduce if there's any stress or anxiety that you're holding in your upper body. So thank you for participating in that quick little activity with me. Now we're going to look at the impact of COVID on saving behavior. Throughout the past year, and it sometimes absolutely amazes me that it's been a year since we've really felt the impact, started feeling the impact of COVID. There's been a lot of different things related to our finances. One of the things that I have thought about is how this medical health issue or physical health issue has really impacted our financial health. And so some research has been done on what really is happening with our spending behavior and saving behavior throughout the past year. One of the things that's happened as our spending has declined, that is partially due to individuals not being able to go anywhere, needing to be able to stay at home in order to social distance from others. It's also due to, for some cases, a decrease in income. And so overall spending has declined. And what spending has focused on is really just purchasing those basic needs. So the things that we need, like food, clothing as necessary, shelter, transportation, toilet paper, things that we need at home. The other positive thing that's happened is that because spending has declined, people are saving a little bit more. The thing is, this is really varies from income level to income level. So individuals who have their income has decreased have maybe needed to utilize more of their savings. Individuals whose income was not decreased or not impacted with COVID has been able to save more because their spending has changed. Maybe they're working at home more and not having to travel back and forth. What I've noticed is I'm definitely not utilizing all those clothes that I have in my closet. So my laundry bill, or the amount of laundry I have, has decreased as I've been working more at home. But for those of us whose income has been impacted with this, what savings we had have needed to be utilized to be able to take care of those basic needs. And then consumers have responded differently depending on their income level and their situation. So for some individuals, COVID maybe has helped with increasing savings, helping to reduce that spending. Individuals maybe have been able to pay off more debt because um, more cash flow to be able to spend. Other consumers, though, maybe are really impacted and have an increased stress level because of their reduced income and that need to rely on their savings or other resources in order to meet their needs. So as I talk about saving, and if you're one of those people who maybe doesn't feel like you have that room for saving, that's where it becomes that four-letter word. So what I'm going to talk about today is the themes that are part of America Saves Week, but really focusing on how no matter what income level you're at or what your financial situation is, you can think about saving. So one of the first themes for Financial America Saves Week is saving automatically. This is really one of the easiest ways to be able to save, and it doesn't really matter how much you have to save or what it is that you're saving for. When you make that smart decision to have your income automatically deposited into a savings account, you really have increased your chance of success. So what are some of the reasons why this actually works? So if you don't see it, you don't necessarily think about it. So if you start right off with that paycheck with automatic deductions, for example, to retirement accounts, then you don't actually really realize that that amount of money is being taken away from your paycheck that you get into your checking account. And so this really is a way to consistently being able to save for retirement. You can also have those auto transfers to savings from a bank account. Many times when I work with people and I say how much, are you saving money each month? We usually think of savings as that last thing, like let's pay all of our bills, whatever's left over we'll put in savings. And a lot of times there's nothing left over at the end of the month before that next paycheck comes in. So if you start out at the beginning of the month or whenever it is you receive your paycheck and have a portion of your check just automatically transferred into a savings account, whether it's a bank savings account or an online savings account. You don't have to remember to do it. You don't have to think about what money is left over at the end of the month and to put into that savings, but you just automatically, it's taken care of. So why does this not work? One thing I already said is you don't miss the money and you don't have to remember. But the other thing that I think is the most important thing to consider is that this means that you are in control of your finances and you are choosing and making a decision to prioritize your saving. If it's that long-term savings goal of retirement or just a short-term savings goal of increasing your emergency savings. And it doesn't even have to be a lot. It can be maybe you're going to save $50 a month just to get started. And many times $50 we don't necessarily miss $50 depending on what our situation is, or we can work around that $50 saving. But something is better than nothing. All right, our next topic then is saving for the unexpected. So when I'm working with individuals and we talk about creating that savings plan or setting up that budget, I say, our budget is very dynamic. We can set it today, but our circumstances might change tomorrow and really impact that budget overall. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. One thing with COVID has brought to light that the future is very uncertain. I think we're feeling a little bit better about the future now than we were a year ago or even 6 months ago. But we don't know what's going to come up. We don't know when the car is going to break down. We don't know when we're going to get sick and have to go to the doctor and have a big doctor bill. We don't know. I think of the individuals that are in Texas right now. We don't know when a freak ice storm is going to come along and cause our pipes to burst or anything like that. So having an emergency savings can really help to reduce that stress. Financial planners have suggested that we have 6 to 12 months of money saved for non-discretionary expenses. So what that means, if you think about those monthly expenses that you absolutely have to pay and you absolutely have to have that money for, multiply that by 6 or 12 or whatever, whatever your goal is, and then that's your savings goal. That can really seem like a lot, and it can be very overwhelming if you don't have much in emergency savings. Thinking about what that number might be might cause you to just, I'm not even going to bother with that. So what I want you to know is that you need to start where you can. Having $500 to $1,000 in an emergency savings account is usually enough money to deal with those unexpected expenses. And if it doesn't quite cover the unexpected expenses, it can help you out. It can get you further along. So I think of if you have car trouble, a lot of times the expense for a car trouble, or especially if it's a major, is going to be $500 to $1,000. So if you know you have some of that money saved, then it just eases that burden and kind of relieves some of that stress. So I think it's important to start where you can. So if you don't have much for an emergency savings account at this point in time, just look at your spending and decide, this is how much I'm going to automatically have deposited into that account, and work really hard not to spend that until a true emergency comes up. And if you start wherever you can, and then over time, maybe you can increase that. Or if you get some additional money or something that's unexpected, then you can add that to that savings account. The key, though, is for you to know and discipline yourself to not spend that money. But it's going to make a huge difference in how you feel about your finances if you know you have that cushion. Our next topic is saving to retire. So if you have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan, it's really important to take advantage of that. Many times you don't have a choice. It's like, this is the amount of money that's going to be withdrawn from your checking account or from your paycheck for that retirement. Sometimes you do have an option of setting the amount that you're going to have contributed to that retirement plan. So always take advantage of that. Sometimes the employer-sponsored retirement plans have a match. And so learn as much as you can about what is available for you and take advantage of that. Another option that you have, either if you don't have an employer-sponsored retirement plan or you want to utilize something else, you can start contributing to an IRA, an individual retirement account, or a Roth IRA. You can learn more about those. Financial institutions have information about the IRAs and the Roth IRAs. And there's always limits to the amount of money that you can deposit in a year. It's about $5,000. But it is a nice supplement to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. And these are wonderful because you can start out with depositing $50 a month, and you'd be surprised at how quickly that adds up. And no matter what your age is, it's important to start saving for retirement. The sooner you start, the younger you are, the less you'll have to save to have an adequate retirement savings. But it's important to start whenever you can. And then another strategy is to try to increase the savings every year. So if you start an IRA where you're automatically depositing $50 a month, next year try to increase that to $55. And then each year try to increase the amount that you are putting into that savings account, just to make it a priority. And that savings adds up, and most likely you're not even going to notice that additional $5 going into that retirement savings. Our next topic is saving to reduce debt. Reducing debt, you don't necessarily always think about savings, but you truly are saving when you are paying off debt, because you are saving money from saving money on the interest that is being paid with that debt. Actively reducing your debt means that you can avoid paying interest, you can avoid paying late fees, and then it also helps to maintain and increase your credit score and shows up and makes a positive impact on your credit history. So no matter what kind of debt you might have, try to set up those automatic payments. If it is an installment type debt, there's usually a set amount um, of payment that you need to make every month. If you set that up as auto pay, you're going to avoid any late charges or having your interest rate increased. If you have credit card debt, it's also good to set up those automatic payments for the same reason, to avoid any late fees and the possibility of having your interest rate increased. If you have credit card debt, think about that the same as trying to increase your retirement savings or your emergency savings, and try to increase the amount that you pay over time. Another way to, or strategy to reduce debt is to know exactly how much debt that you have. One strategy or tool that you can use to help you work on your debt management is a program sponsored and created by the Utah State University Extension. It's called Power Pay. And Amber just posted that link in the chat. This is a website that has created a tool to help you develop a personalized self-directed debt elimination plan. You'll be able to, you can enter your information about the amount of your debt, the interest rate that you pay on the debt, and then what the terms are for that and your payment amount. You'll be able to, and it'll calculate how long it'll take you to pay off that debt. And the other nice thing about it is you can figure out, if you increase your payments, how much quicker it is that you'll pay off that debt, and then how much you'll save in interest. This is a free website or a free tool. You do have to set up a login because it is a secured site, and there are a lot of great resources and additional information that you can get from that site. And then another thing is an emergency savings account can help to reduce your debt. So if you think about that car emergency problems, car emergency that I mentioned a couple minutes ago, you can, if you need to get that paid for, need to make that repair, and you don't have emergency savings, many times we turn to credit cards in order to make that payment. But if you have an emergency savings that you can use to help either pay all of that repair or a portion of that, that's going to reduce the amount of debt that you're going to accumulate because of that. And then the last topic, which is one of my favorites, and it's actually Save as a Family, is today's theme, February 26th. And saving as a family is a great way to model spending and saving. We want to talk about money with our family, either if we have a spouse or if we have children or whoever we consider to be a part of our family. This really gives an opportunity for children to see how it is and to be able to think about and start developing some good saving habits. One thing that we want to think about, though, is to be aware of your money attitude and behavior. If you find that the topic of money creates anxiety, stress, and maybe some negative behaviors, then be aware that your family members are seeing that, and they might develop those same attitudes and behaviors towards money. So no matter what age you are, we want to look at our finances and try to reduce the stress associated with our finances, to be able to increase our knowledge to help us make better decisions about our finances. Being able to talk about money, and even talking with your family about what things cause the stress and make you feel really anxious when we're dealing with money, can be a very positive way to model that money management. A good strategy is to help family members be a part of making money decisions. If it's about purchases at the grocery store, or trips that are being planned, or the cost of gifts, whatever it might be, make sure you talk with family members about the best ways to make decisions about money and to practice that. The other thing to think about is, then I just lost my train of thought on what I was going to say. we'll move on. All right. So these were the 5 themes for America Saves Week, and looking at saving as a family, saving as saving for retirement, planning for those unexpected expenses, and working to reduce our debt, and think of what that first one was, and then setting up those automatic savings. No matter what our savings goal is, those are good topics for us. So what I'd like, that's my content for all of you, and I'm right at time, so that's great. What I'd like you to do is to think about, of these different aspects of saving, what is something that you're going to take away from this session, and maybe think about a little bit more, consider implementing into your financial management practices, or think about when you might be setting a savings goal. And I invite you to enter whatever it is you're thinking into the chat, so we can look at that information. It gives me a little bit of feedback on what you guys are thinking now that I've covered all of these different topics. So go ahead and enter. What is your takeaway from this session? And as you are thinking about that, just want to give you my contact, give you my contact information. My main office is in the Sioux Falls Regional Extension Center, which the address is there. I do work at home a few days a week because of our working on our COVID policy. So I do have my office number and my cell phone number listed there. If you have any questions for me and need some additional information or want some clarification, you can always email me. That's probably the best way to get in contact. I also have my social media contacts there too. So Asha has talked about some innovative ways to save. So great, thank you for that. All right, yeah, so if you've already saved this, or already are retired and don't need to save for retirement, think about how you can model your savings behavior and to teach your kids about it. So thank you for adding that. All right, Amber, that is what I've got for today. So if you have anything else that you need to add to wrap up.
Yes, thank you so much, Lorna. These tips are always so useful, and I'm trying to take notes so that I remember them myself. As we wrap up today, we do have just a short poll that we ask you to fill out. You should be seeing that on your screen. If you can take a couple seconds to answer, that really helps us just gain some feedback. As I mentioned before, this is the last in our February series, so if you do have other ideas, we're happy to take those in the chat as well. And our next series is scheduled for May, so be sure to be watching for notification on how to get registered for that session as well. It looks like we've got almost everyone answering our poll here, which is great. I also want to say have a wonderful weekend, a cozy Friday if you joined us last session, and make sure you check out our other sessions on our YouTube channel at SDSU Extension.
Thank you, Amber. Have a good day.
Yes, thank you, everyone.